Let me ask you a simple question. If eating every 2-3 hours is so essential for muscle growth, why are so many people constantly hungry, tired, bloated, and still not lean or muscular? For the ones who are new to my channel, I'm Dr. Nesh Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I competed 46 times and won 17 titles. I have been in bodybuilding for over 40 years, and during that time I have personally coached over 3,500 clients and helped them to get in the best shapes of their lives. Also, I have published 12 ebooks which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything that you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. So if you wanted to expand your knowledge and widen your horizons, simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. For decades, I have been told, eat 6 meals per day. Never let your body go catabolic. Keep your insulin high so you feed the muscles. But what if that advice is actually what is holding you back? In this video, I want to explain why 2 to 3 meals per day often work better than 6 meals or more for muscle growth, fat loss, sustained energy, and long-term metabolic health. So where this idea of 6 meals per day actually came from? The idea didn't come from bodybuilding reality. It came from lab results, from nitrogen balance charts, and also, obviously, food industry logic, because they want you to eat more, so you spend more, they sell more. Somewhere along the line, more frequent feeding was confused with better muscle growth. But muscle doesn't grow because food constantly enters your mouth. It grows because training creates stimulus, hormones coordinate recovery, and your body adapts during the rest. Eating all day does not replace intelligent physiology. Many of you have asked me the same question, but how can you explain that 2-3 meals work better when everybody I know is eating 6-7 meals a day and they are big and they are strong and etc. etc. Yes, they're big, they're strong, but they are not always in shape and they are not necessarily the biggest that can be. Because there is one problem that people who overeat or eat too often actually neglect. And that problem is insulin issue. Every time you eat, and especially carbohydrates, insulin rises. So insulin is not evil, but has a cost. Chronically high insulin simply blocks fat burning. It suppresses metabolic flexibility, also encourages energy crashes, and increases hunger roundabout. So 6 meals per day means 6 insulin spikes. With 2-3 meals, what happens? Insulin rises, then does its job, then falls again, and allows fat burning and hormonal reset. Muscle don't disappear because insulin is low for a few hours. This is a myth. And this is why most of the people that I have seen, I have known, and I still know who are eating 6, 7, 8 times per day, they're never in shape. Their insulin sensitivity is not great. They have different issues, but they're keeping quiet about it. And the main reason for that is those 6 insulin spikes throughout the day. So basically, they are in that mode of chronically elevated insulin. And this is, first of all, not good for your health. It's not good for muscle growth. It's not good for fat loss, metabolic health, not to mention long-term health. So this is the reason why 2 to 3 meals are much better and healthier than 6 or more meals per day. So let me explain a little bit more in detail why 2-3 meals are actually better than 6 or more meals per day. First of all, protein synthesis is not linear, right? After a protein-rich meal, muscle protein synthesis rises and then peaks, then stops responding for hours. Eating again, does not restart growth. It just means adding more calories. Large, more spaced meals create stronger anabolic pulses. This is very important to understand. Also, because they're spaced more, 5-6 hours between the meals, this allows digestion to complete and also reduces digestive stress, because your body grows better when it can finish one signal before receiving another. So what it means in descriptive terms, it means that basically your digestive system didn't finish digesting phase and you have already shoveled another meal. So the pipe is not clean and the food is just accumulating there, causing too much stress to the digestive system and also your hormonal system. And most of that food, if digestion is not completed in the previous meal, is going to end up causing you digestion problems, gas, bloating, and also more fat retention. So this is the most important advantage of eating less meals per day, because you simply allow your digestion to finish one process before new process starts. So once a certain amount of food has been digested, your body is ready to absorb another. But that is not going to happen every 2 hours, because when you eat a meal, it will take 4 or 5 hours to leave that first stage of digestion. So before that happens, it's very unhealthy and unproductive to eat again. So what happens with people when they eat 6 or more meals per day? They often report constant thinking about food. They're simply obsessed. They're hysterical about food. Also, they report bloating, poor training focus, and afternoon crashes. So why is this happening? Simply, it happens because digestion itself costs energy. So when you eat less often, your nervous system calms, so you're much calmer, you have much more stable energy. I, for example, eat at 10 in the morning, and then my next meal is around 3 or 4. So I have 5-6 hours between my first 2 meals. And I'm absolutely not hysterical about food. I don't have any bloating. I don't have any crashes. My energy is constantly elevated. I perform 100%. And there is no magic involved. This is simply physiology talking and responding to the best food intake pattern. Also, training intensity improves because you're not full of food. You're not fighting between digestion and high intensity workout, which is very, very unhealthy, by the way. And hunger actually becomes predictable. It's not chaotic. When I'm hungry, I feel that I'm hungry, but I'm not crashing. I'm not fainting. I'm not, throwing tantrums as most of the people who are dependent on many meals a day do. And this is simply metabolic maturity. Is not deprivation. And once you start following what I advise in my videos, you will immediately feel more energy. Your energy will be sustainable throughout the day. You will never have energy crash, because you will never have insulin spike and insulin drop. So you will be performing 100% throughout the day. And you will not be obsessed with food. You're not going to be hysterical about food. I often see people in the gym carrying the small suitcase with 6, 7, 8 containers. Apparently, this is the way to do it, and they are literally eating by the clock. I mean, this is completely insane. Just give it a go, and you will see. You will experience better results and better mood and better health immediately. So once again, golden era bodybuilders knew this instinctively. They the best bodies ever created were in golden era. People like Sergio Oliva, Arnold, Serge Nubrev, Frank Zane, and they're simply legends, right? I can't even remember who was Mr. Olympia last year or 3 years ago, God forbid, 5 years ago, because these people, they just come and go. They're just clones in my eyes. They're not. Is like manufacturing belt, just producing one after another. They all look the same. There is nothing to remember about anybody. There is nothing distinctive. If you cover the faces of top athletes on Olympia stage, you will never know whose body is whose, because they're all the same, because they're manufactured in the same way. There is nothing linked to genetics, instinct, individual approach, creativity, not to mention charisma, non-existing from 90s. None of them had any charisma. Just remember Serge Nubret, just remember Oliva or Arnold or Frank Zane. These people are legends. Why? Because they were unique. If you cover the faces of these legends in 70s and 80s, I will tell you immediately who is who. I don't need to see their face. But cover the faces of top 6 Olympians today and then tell me who is who. Because they're all just products, quick products built in 2-3 years on huge amount of insulin, growth hormone, not to mention steroids and whatever else is at hand. And this is why they look so unhealthy, bloated, oversized. There is nothing compelling in today's bodybuilding. And yes, they eat 6, 7, 8 times. They even eat during the night. They wake up to eat. And look at the final products. Would you like to look like these professional bodybuilders now? Or you would like to look like Serge Nubret or Frank Zane or Arnold? Of course you would. And this is not a secret. Just be honest with yourself. So this is what I'm talking about. And these guys actually did it right. They didn't eat 6, 7 times a day. They had 2 or 3 meals a day. I've seen Serge Nubret eating big portions of meat 2-3 times per day. He just had an unbelievable physique. Somebody would say, well, how can you eat so much food? Yes, you can. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that tomorrow. But if you start focusing on eating bigger meals, less frequent, you will eventually adapt and you will start fulfilling that physiological need for food, and you will start allowing your physiology to digest that food, to process it, and then get ready for another meal. Are they going to be 2 or 3 meals per day? That's individual. I also advise people to be between 2 and 4. The reason for that is that not everybody can eat twice per day immediately, but you have to start from somewhere. The main message, the main takeaway for you is basically to understand that eating less, bigger meals is much better and healthy for you. So let's go back to Serge Nubret or Arnold or Frank Zane or Oliva. These people eat less frequent, bigger meals, and that allowed that pattern of feeding allowed them for massive volume training. They didn't have problems with that. Incredible conditioning, unmatched, up to date, simply unseen. And they were often eating 2 to 3 meals per day, so there's no big secret about it. Today, apparently, with the development of nutrition, and I've got myself a degree in clinical nutrition, but I can tell you I didn't learn much. I learned mainly about macronutrients, micronutrients. That was mainly on my own accord, biochemistry, sports physiology, etc., etc. But what is more important, I have never neglected the reality and the practice of bodybuilders in 70s and 80s and later. And I've tried it on myself. I've tried every single diet. And I can tell you from my own experience and experience of my clients that once the number of meals has been reduced, everything has improved. Muscle growth, conditioning, health. People who eat 2-3 times per day when they are hungry, obviously high protein, medium fat, low carb diet. They are always lean, they are never fat. Their abdominals are always flat, never expanded. So off season is just an excuse for lazy and spoiled individuals who cannot stop indulging themselves in food. Period. I don't want to talk about off-season bulking. This is such a nonsense. It's such a cheap defending of cheap excuse of wrongdoings, of inability to control your hunger and to control your appetite for carbohydrates or sweet food. So it's simply despicable. Bodybuilding legends in 70s, they didn't micromanage snacks. They didn't use calorie calculators. They didn't know exactly in grams and milligrams how much they were eating. They ate real meals. They were more instinctive when they were eating. They were eating to feel satisfied, not over-stressed or simply overstuffed with food. They trained hard, they recovered, and they grew. And they're the best example. This is scientific proof. I have people coming often and saying to me, oh, your claims are so heavy. Do you have any scientific proof? This is scientific proof. Golden era legends, they were not just Arnold Oliva, Nubre, and Frank Zane. There were many, many others. Franco is there, Franco Colombo, Lou Ferrigno. Then you have Albert Beckles, Roy Callender. You have so many other phenomenal bodybuilders, and they were all doing the same thing. So what is that? This is not a scientific experiment. This is the best scientific experiment that you can consider. So forget about these graphs and studies on, experimental, voluntary, random people who are probably paid for whatever results research wants to show. And they're completely irrelevant to people like you and me, people who are in the gym almost every day, train high volume, high intensity, and changing and living healthy lives consistently for decades. So this is real science. This has been, yes, nobody was analyzing grams and milligrams of every single meal that Arnold ate, of Serge Nubre ate. He didn't record anything. He didn't have experimental group, etc., etc. Not necessary. I mean, the history of the world never did that. And look where we are now. So reality is the biggest scientific experiment that you should consider. Look at the reality, learn about the principles, take up the advice that I am offering, use the principles, adapt them to yourself, to your age, to your fitness level, to your body weight, to your gender, and benefit from the principles. Everybody wants to know exactly in grams and milligrams in a single digit what they should do. This is impossible. I will never be able to give anybody that kind of advice. Even I am still experimenting all the time. My meals are not the same every day. Some days I eat a little bit more. Some days I eat a little bit less. But what I have learned is to follow my gut feeling, to follow my physiology. When my body says to me, you are fine, you don't need to eat, I don't eat. When my body suggests, oh, I'm ready, I'm hungry, I eat. How much I'm going to eat depends. In my training days, I probably eat 3 times a day. In my days off, I eat twice per day. How many grams and milligrams? I don't really know. I know that is roughly, I buy a packet of chicken breasts, which is 1 kg, and I roughly eat half of that in one meal. This is what I know. And also, my breakfast is 5 to 6 eggs every day, 200 grams of cottage cheese. Every day in the last 35 years, I've been eating the same breakfast. And the last meal would be some kind of red meat, probably again 400 or 500 grams, maybe a couple of eggs inside, because I use mincemeat and I make those burgers. And that's it. So very simple, basically. Now, what Golden Era Legends did? Exactly the same. They follow their instincts. They ate when they ate. When they didn't eat, they didn't eat. They didn't snack. Allow the body to digest the food. Live your life. Get a life. Do something else. Don't just carry food around you and be hysterical and psychotic about, oh, I have to eat. It's 2 hours past. Because this is damaging. This is it's pathological. So who basically benefits most from this approach for eating 2 to 3 meals? Number one, natural lifters. I've released the book Nutrition for Natural Bodybuilders, and I also published the video with my son Milos. We talk about nutrition for natural bodybuilders, and we explain, and actually Milos explains why he is eating 2 to 3 times per day. Obviously, the result is phenomenal. He is always lean, 97, 98 kgs, training 4 to 5 times per week, feeling great, never hungry, never in the bad mood, never energy crashes. He's going along with many other things during the day. He's very successful. And nutrition is actually a very big part of it. Also, people over 30, 35, they benefit mostly from this type of eating for less frequent meals, because over the age of 35, your insulin sensitivity naturally declines. So you have to be very careful. You have to manipulate. You have to help your body improve that insulin sensitivity. And that is not going to happen if you eat 6-7 times a day. You're just going to be knocking on the door of insulin resistance. And sooner or later, you're going to have problems. You may end up having diabetes type 2. Obviously, everybody who has insulin resistance will benefit from eating a less frequent number of meals. 2 to 3 meals will be ideal. Not to mention people who are constantly fat, constantly stuck in that fat gain cycles. They come to me every single day. Nash, I wanted to ask you, I see you are always in shape. How many times do you eat? Well, you know how much I eat. You can see my videos are everywhere. I talk to everybody. I eat 2 to 3 times per day. But Nash, I eat very healthily. I eat 6 times a day. As they said, they, wise men obviously, they say you need to eat a smaller meal 6-7 times per day. But you're like a bird. You're just, picking every 2 hours. You're constantly obsessed with food. Your insulin is spiked every time you eat. This is why you're fat. But Nash, how am I going to train if I eat only 3 times per day? You see how that mantra, that religious approach towards nutrition that has been inbuilt in human psyche after the Second World War, it started because food manufacturers needed people to eat more in order to sell more food, obviously, especially more carbs, because you're not going to be eating 6 times per day if you eat 6 eggs in the morning and then a pound of chicken or meat in the midday and then another pound in the evening. You're probably going to end up eating, most of you, twice per day. But if you eat 100 grams of chicken and 200 grams of rice, and then you're going to end up eating 6-7 meals like that. So if you're still under the umbrella of that belief, good luck to you. But I'm telling you, that is not going to end up happy. This type of eating is not starvation, absolutely far away from that. It's simply a precision. And once you start eating like this, you will understand the benefits of less frequent meals. And you will come back to me, as so many of you have done, and thank you very much for that. People who have taken my advice, tried my dietary suggestions, my training suggestions, and after a few weeks or couple of months, they're back and their comments are great. And again, thank you for that. And people are benefiting greatly. So it's just about dismantling that blindness and that mantra that you have to eat constantly, because if you don't eat, you are gonna die, you are gonna crash, you're gonna lose your muscles. Absolutely not true. Now let me tell you one more thing, and this is very important. You need to understand that the muscle growth is not fragile. You don't lose muscles because you didn't eat every 2 hours. Forget about that nonsense. You will lose muscle because your training is wrong, recovery is compromised, and your hormones are ignored. If your training is not right, you will never stimulate enough growth. If you're training like powerlifter, you may be stronger, but you won't get bigger. And this is why you're going to start losing muscle over time. Not to mention injuries, that they will definitely come, attempting to lift as heavy as possible. I see it every day. I see people in casts, injuries, broken elbows, tendons, ripped apart all the time. They're everywhere. You've seen it probably. And this is because of that. If training is wrong, you're not going to build muscles. Also, if your recovery is compromised, if you don't sleep enough, if you train twice per week, each muscle twice per week, or God forbid, 3 times per week, you will be constantly in catabolic state and you will never grow. And obviously you will get injured, 100%. So recovery is critical. And also your hormones. If your insulin sensitivity is not high, you won't build muscles. If you eat carbohydrates all the time, your insulin will be constantly present in high amounts in your body, and you will become insulin resistant. And insulin resistance means that there will be less amino acids and glucose delivered to the muscle cells. So pay attention to hormonal balance, which can only be adjusted and put in the proper function only if you eat correctly, meaning 2-3 times per day, high protein, medium fat, low carb diet. So these things are critical. Fewer meals done properly will improve your body composition, will improve your focus. People immediately say to me, "Oh, I see everything much sharper. I'm so awake all the time." Of course, you're awake all the time because you're not digesting all the time. Your digestion time is much shorter, so you have energy to live your life, to do something else, something more important than just thinking about food. Also, eating less will improve your consistency and long-term results. Modern nutritional advice didn't make people better. It made them simply fatter, hungrier, more irritable, and also more confused. And sometimes less means more. So guys, let me remind you once again that I have published 12 ebooks for you, which are fully loaded with detailed explanation about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. Training, nutrition, training splits, training systems, training techniques, number of sets, number of reps, fat loss, lifestyle change, everything explained in detail in my ebooks. So if you want to deepen your knowledge and widen your horizons, simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. Also, I would like you to watch this video in which I introduce my other services like personalized training programs, personalized nutritional programs, online coaching, telephone consultations, and also personal training for people who live in London. So if you are interested in these services, simply watch the video and get in touch. And if you have enjoyed this video, I would kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel, like the video, send me a comment, share the video, and I will see you in the next video.